the tug that lost her temper. Once upon a time, there was a little tug whose duty it was to take coal up the river. Every morning, she had flatboats tied to her, and then she would puff, puff, puff and start up the river, hauling coal to docks from which it was taken to the factories and homes where coal is needed. One day, she woke in a bad humor, and when she had her good breakfast of water and fuel, she stood ready to have the flatboats tied to her. But when she saw the first of these hauled around the corner of the docks, she began to puff crossly instead of cheerfully, because she did not want to do her work that day. When the second flatboat was fastened to the first, she puffed more angrily than ever. And by the time the third flatboat was in sight, she swelled up and burst her boiler. "Now look at that," said the captain. "I knew that tug was acting very strangely. But see what she has just done? I'm not gonna bother with her anymore this season. I shall have to run her around the dock and leave her there." The little tug did not expect this, and she was sad and frightened. Soon, she saw another flat little tug come steaming up. The coal boats were tied to it, and away it puffed and whistled upstream, leaving the tug that had burst her boiler shut in and lonesome. All winter, she remained there at the side of the dock with no coal to eat or water to drink, and covered much of the time with ice and snow. When spring came, her owner brought a boiler engine to the dock, showed him the tug, and left. When the engineer looked over to the boiler, he found the broken place where it had burst, and then he began to cut it away. How the little tug groaned and moaned. It hurt even more to have a great piece of new hard iron hammered into her side. The boiler engineer did not leave the little tug until she was mended tightly and safely. And by that time, she was too tired and miserable to know when he left her. What next, I wonder? She breathed to herself when she woke the next morning. Her captain came along and ordered her a hearty breakfast of coal and wood and water. The sun was shining, the water sparkled, and soon the little tug was puffing cheerfully and feeling as well as the day of her launching. When she left herself being stared out of the corner under the dock, where she had been so cold and unhappy all winter, she held closely to her mended side and left very glad indeed to be one of them once more at work. When she saw a loaded flatboat being hauled out and tied to her, she puffed gaily, and when she saw a second loaded flatboat being tied to the first flatboat, she puffed joyfully, and when she saw the third loaded flatboat coming to be tied to the second flatboat, all of which she was to haul, she puffed grandly and started up the river all spring the little tugboat was busy as she could be, puffing upstream and gently gliding back downstream. After she had hauled coal to the docks, from which it was taken to the factories and homes where coal is needed. Never again did she allow herself to lose her temper. Every time she felt in the least like it, she stopped herself and began to whistle and puff and bubble and let off steam. The little tug remembered the long, cold winter when she had nothing to eat and wore a fringe of icicles on her deck for so many months. The end.